All right, we're live, Ty. This is the Brews and Bets UFC Fight Night 139, Korean Zombie versus Yair Rodriguez. We were just cursing up the storm here before we went live, so hopefully nobody heard that. But Ty, how's everything going? How you doing?
That's going pretty good. I'm ready to get this show done and then head out to Denver tomorrow.
Yeah, I feel like one of us goes to like every UFC show over the last few weeks. It's pretty good. You didn't go to Moncton though, did you?
Nah, I don't even know where that is.
All right, so let's get right into this card. We invited a bunch of people on. We were supposed to have a special guest. Didn't work out. I guess I should mention somebody that takes very good care of me. H2 Bro Water, the whole Eat Clean Bro. You can see it on my hat. I actually have the shirt on too, but you can't really see it. So that's one of my sponsors. We'll throw out a couple more sponsors and partners throughout the show. But Ty, let's start at the bottom of the card. I'm going to go by the order that I think the card goes in. I'm not positive that the card goes in this order, but I'm pretty sure it does. It's jumped around a little bit. And the first fight on the card is a fight that I'm still not sure. We did our Quant Edge podcast last night for our subscribers. And again, everybody can check out either one of our Twitter pages to get the password to get an account. But this is Mark Della Rosa and Joby Sanchez. Mark Della Rosa is minus 255. Joby Sanchez is plus 215. And the issue with this fight is a lot of people are saying it's still at 135. It's listed at 125. So when we talked about it on the Quant Edge, we talked about it as a 125 fight again. But I heard somebody else mention again today, this is definitely at 135 because of the short notice. They had to change it from 125 to 135. So I'm not positive, but Ty, who do you like in this fight, or do you not like anybody?
Yeah, so I think the thing to take away from that is whether it's 125 or 135, De La Rosa is the bigger guy. Sanchez is either coming up or De La Rosa is dropping. So I don't think the weight difference matters too much, but De La Rosa should be the bigger, stronger guy. Kind of have to wait till weigh-ins to see that. But I just don't think Joby Sanchez is that good of a fighter. He kind of had a lackluster stint in his first UFC stint. He went 2-0 on the Dana White Contender Series. He looked decent, but a few things that concern me. He has a 34% strike accuracy, so he throws a lot of punches that don't land on target, and he really doesn't have any takedown defense to speak of. He only stops 38% of the takedowns posed against him. So what that tells me is De La Rosa can pretty much avoid a lot of the punches striking, and if he wants to take this down, he shouldn't have a problem with it.
Yeah, I don't disagree with anything that you said there. Joby Sanchez isn't supposed to win this fight. I mean, for the most part, he's a Jackson Wink guy, and he's kind of had two stints in the UFC, but they've been very, very unsuccessful. So in terms of a bet here, no, I wouldn't bet it. And again, in Joby Sanchez's history, he has been submitted. So if this fight does go to the ground, like you said, it could be over. So the 2.5 is basically a pick 'em 2.5 rounds. It is favored to go to decision, but I wouldn't be surprised if it didn't, and you see a De La Rosa finish here. So let's get right into the next. And again, I believe this is the second fight. Joseph Morales and Eric Shelton. This is still a pick'em. And again, this isn't a DraftKings show, but by the same token, Shelton is 8.2K. Morales is 8K. And Morales just happens to fit in easier into DraftKings lineups. I kind of like Shelton a little bit better. I think he's got better experience. Morales kind of got manhandled last time out. Again, I know it was against Davis and Figueiredo, but he did get manhandled. I don't know. I think it's rightly priced at a pick'em, but I kind of prefer Shelton. But Ty, go ahead, let it roll.
Yeah, I'm having trouble getting a read on this fight. Shelton just seems to have a style that's not favorable to the judges. I believe in his last 5 fights, he's 1-4, and all 4 losses have been close decision losses. That kind of leads me to believe that, the way that he fights is really not appealing to the judges, and he has trouble with that. So I kind of looked into Morales a little bit, and it's kind of hard to get a read on who he is. He seems well-rounded, but he hasn't really faced the greatest of competition. So I tend to lean towards Morales, but it's not really a confident play, and I don't know if I'm going to be betting on this.
So, and again, I agree with you. I don't think I'm going to be betting on it either. But in DraftKings, like I said, it does kind of fit in based on some of the lineups I've made so far. And again, if anybody wants to get any of our DraftKings information, the podcast, my article, or Ty's article, you can go to the Quant Edge, go to either one of our Twitter pages. You can get the Brews is one of the code words and UFC is the other code word. By all means, we got a bunch of guys over there, guys and girls actually, subscribers, and it's looking good. So Devontae Smith, if you look on Tapology, Devontae Smith is the #1 lightweight in Ohio, and Julian Rosa is the #1 featherweight in the Pacific Northwest. Julian Rosa obviously has more fights under his belt. He's 22-5. I believe he's like 29 years old. Yeah, 29 years old. Devontae Smith is 25 years old. But I really like Devontae Smith in this fight. I have a heavy lean towards Devontae Smith, and I will eventually have a play on Devontae Smith. A play on Antonio Brown just scored a long touchdown. So Devontae Smith, I will have a play on him, and I will also take Devontae Smith 1 unit play on him to finish this fight. KO, TKO. His hands are so fast. He's quick on his feet. His jab is lightning quick. And he actually trains in Colorado, so I don't think that the altitude is going to get to him. But Ty, what do you think about this one?
Yeah, Devontae Smith, he's a really good fighter. I'm a big fan of Rosa in general. This fight is just not a good matchup for him. Smith is going to be faster, a lot faster. He has nasty leg kick. He has probably one of the better jabs that I've seen in mixed martial arts. I think that Smith is just going to sit on the outside, pick him apart, and Carosa's only way to win this is to get him down to the ground, which I think that he's going to have trouble doing. If you look at Smith's last fight on the Contender Series, he got shot in on a takedown. He spread his legs, got the underhooks, and as the guy had him up against the cage, he just unleashed some elbows and knocked the guy out cold. So even if Rosa is trying to take him out, Smith is still dangerous from that position. And I mean, I don't really like the line at where it's at right now, but I think that Smith wins this easily.
Yeah, and as you were talking, I was listening and messaging our special guest. Possibly he may jump on. We actually also invited a couple other people on to see if they wanted to come on and break down some fights. CG, him and his wife just had a baby, so congratulations to them. I tried to get him to come on, but he obviously couldn't make it. He's got the baby. The baby's awake right now. So I told him even if the baby falls asleep, maybe try to come on. So I don't know if he's watching live or not. But yeah, I totally agree with you with Smith. And again, for the Quant Edge, you're our BJJ resident expert. So what do you think about this Ramos John Gunther fight? I don't know if it's playable at minus 1,000. I heard that some people may be playing the prop bets here, kind of picking whether he's going to finish this by submission or by KO TKO. I think if you play it by KO TKO, you're actually getting plus money. But what do you think here, Ty?
Well, actually, Davi Ramos by submission is minus 210. I think that's a pretty safe bet. Gunther is terrible on the feet. He's just not a good fighter on the feet. His only path to actually winning any fight is to pretty much get it down to the ground. I think last fight he had 8 takedowns. If he tries to implement that game plan versus Ramos, he's completely screwed. He needs this fight to stay standing to have even a remote possibility. And that's just not his strong suit. That's not what he's going to do. Ramos is the 2015 Abu Dhabi champion and the 2011 Grapplers Quest lightweight and absolute weight division champion. He's light years above Gunther on the ground. Gunther's not a good fighter in general, but this is Davi Ramos' fight to lose, and I think they'll submit him in the first round.
Yeah, and again, the KO TKO prop is plus 560, I believe. So if you did want to try to, gamble a little bit, maybe Ramos gets him down and is able to, just get some ground and pound going or something like that. And maybe he doesn't submit him. But yeah, the submission is definitely the safe play there if you're looking to play that. Chaz Skelly and Bobby Moffett. We broke this card down yesterday, and for the Quan Edge for DraftKings, and now this fight is basically a pick'em. So, you had a pretty good read on this yesterday. Who do you like in this fight, Chaz Skelly and Bobby Moffett?
Yeah, so we were talking about this one in great extent yesterday on the TQE podcast. Moffett, he's somebody that I recommended to you on the Dana White Contender Series to put money on. He's well rounded. He's good standing, good on the ground. Skelly has a 36% takedown defense. Granted, he wants this fight to get to the floor, or he wants all of his fights to get to the floor. That's where he has an advantage. But Moffett is a high output offensive wrestler. He's going to get top position, and I'm not convinced that Skelly is better than him on the ground. So I think this line opened up actually at plus 175 for Moffett. And right now it's sitting right around a pick'em, minus 110 on each side. And I still kind of lean that Moffett's gonna win this. I haven't figured out how he's gonna win it, and it could be a decision. But I think that Moffett is one to consider here.
In my notes, I have Moffett is a black belt BJJ. Do you know what Chaz Skelly is? Is he a black belt or is he?
I don't know offhand, but I don't think that he's at the same level as Moffett, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't think he is. He doesn't look like he is. He's coming off a 17-month layoff. And again, truth be told, Chaz Skelly had his option of who he wanted to fight, and he actually picked Moffett over Devontae Smith. And I don't think either one of them, he really stands much of a chance. But if that tells you anything about the fight that he picked Moffett because he believes that he can, possibly get him down to the ground. Devontae Smith is a striker, and he doesn't want to strike. So Moffett already has the advantage on the feet. It's not a huge advantage, but if it does stay in the feet, I think he's the better striker. I don't think he's going to knock him out. That would surprise me. But I think on the ground, if he is a black belt BJJ, I mean, Chaz Skelly basically is electing to fight a black belt BJJ. I personally think he's out of his mind. But
not particularly about this fight, but when you say a black belt in jiu-jitsu, the school that they get it from and the teacher that they get it from, it matters a lot. There's a big difference between certain styles. That's why if you see somebody from like a Gracie Academy,
right,
their black belts are higher than just some random jiu-jitsu place that's on the corner of any major city.
Right. But again, by the same token, he was able to achieve that belt. So I mean, he's got a shot to win this fight. And if it goes to the ground, the hand fighting, we'll see what happens. But again, I think Moffett has the advantage on the feet, so I have no problem playing him. If you wanted to play him here.
I wasn't talking particularly about this fight. I was just saying that.
Yeah, in general. I know what you mean.
Yeah, in general, it's worth looking into who their black belts awarded by.
Our next fight, I think we kind of are heads up here. Amanda Cooper and Ashley Yoder. I kind of like Ashley Yoder better in this fight. I know you're kind of on Amanda Cooper. I think Yoder is longer, a little bit taller, and she's going to be able to use that to her advantage. And I think she has a better ground game. So I'm going to go with Yoder here. But go ahead, Ty. Make the case for Amanda Cooper.
Yeah, so I'm kind of back and forth on this fight too. But I like getting the plus 140 money on Amanda Cooper. If you look into her fights, she's lost to Mackenzie Dern, Tatiana Suarez, Cynthia Calvillo. And the knock on Cooper is that she has a 20% takedown defense, which on paper looks terrible. But she's fought Tatiana Suarez, who's eventually going to be the champion of that division. Mackenzie Dern, who's one of the top 3 jiu-jitsu women in the world. And Cynthia Calvillo, who is a top contender in the division. And all of them have really good wrestling. So is she facing somebody as good as has she faced competition better than Yoder? Yes. So she's taken a major step down in competition, and you're still getting a value on her. So I'm not necessarily saying that she's a slam dunk going to win this fight, but I do like getting plus 140 money on somebody that's taken a huge step down and has beaten her competition the only time that she stepped down before.
And again, Ashley Yoder took Mackenzie Dern to decision. I believe it was a split decision. So
she did, and the reason why that was a split decision was because of the knockdown.
right.
She knocked her down in that fight. If there was no knockdown, Dern won the unanimous decision, which that's still actually really good versus Mackenzie Dern. But you know, I like getting the plus money versus somebody that's been in there with the top competition over the course of the last few years.
And you know what? Either way, not for nothing, it's playable. Yoder's minus 155. ABC Amanda Cooper is plus 135. I mean, I would take the play on Yoder, and I'm even going to call my shot. So I'm going to say Yoder knocks her down and then submits her.
Okay. I mean, if she's gonna win, I think that she's gonna knock her. She's gonna do something on the feet first.
Yo, Ty, not for nothing, but you're almost speechless there with that one. You didn't expect me to call my shot, bro.
Yeah.
You still have no idea what to say. I love it. All right, so let's get to this next fight. There's been a lot of line movement on this next fight, and I don't really – I actually bet it when the line came down to minus 190. Luis Pena is now at minus 170. Mike Tristano is plus 155. Luis Pena, I believe yesterday when we did the Quan Ed show, I want to say it was minus 325, 330, something like that. So somebody obviously hit Mike Tristano's line pretty good. I don't think there's a ton of money coming in on these fights, especially on like a Wednesday and Thursday. But so obviously a big bet can move the line, any which way. But by the same token, I mean, it had to be a pretty decent bet on Tristano to go from like, I want to say he was probably like plus 270 and now he's down to plus 155. But to move the line that much, there must have been a pretty significant bet. I thought Luis Pena was the better fighter. He's longer. I think he really does use his jab here. He actually posted something about his weight, and he only needs like 3 or 4 pounds to make weight, which is 155. He's going to have Tristano by – let me just go over the exact numbers here. I just lost the numbers. Hold on one sec. He's going to have Tristano with a 4-inch reach advantage and a 4-inch height advantage. So between all those advantages, I think he's the better striker. Tristano likes to clinch you up. And I think Luis Pena, if he clinches him up and actually does take him down, Pena is going to be difficult on the ground. He's got 4 of his 5 wins are by submission. So, and Tristano, when he does get to the ground, he doesn't really look to lock in submissions. He looks, but he doesn't really lock them in. I should say it that way. He'll look for a submission, but he doesn't really lock it in right now. So I think Luis Pena has him beat kind of anywhere this fight goes. Could go to decision, could be a split decision, but I just like Pena everywhere. I think Pena is better than Giannetti, and I think Tristano actually struggled with Giannetti in that first round, and then they kind of just got locked up. And I don't even know what Giannetti did for the last 7 minutes of that fight. I'm pretty much in shock. Even when I rewatched that fight, I was in shock how Giannetti went about that fight. But Ty, who do you like in this fight?
Yeah, so this fight should have been the finale of the Ultimate Fighter this season that they were on. I think that Pena would have smoked him then, and I think that it's even going to be worse now. He's really dangerous on the ground, and like you were saying, I think that he's the better fighter everywhere. I just haven't been impressed with Tristano. I don't understand why the line is moving the way that it is. It's kind of made me want to research into it further, because on paper and from the eye test, I think that Pena is by far the better fighter here. And so I don't really understand how the line's moving this way. But I mean, if there's no injury or nothing, no news that's come out, I really think that Pena is a strong play to bet on.
And Ty, I did a little social media research. check their Twitter feeds, check their IGs and things like that. Tristano has been out in Denver for about 2 weeks. I believe he was at Extreme. I believe that was the camp that he went to in Denver. So Luis Pena actually tried to go to that camp, but Tristano was already training there. So he was trying to get the training and elevation. So he went to a different camp. I'm not sure exactly which camp Luis Pena went to, but I saw that in one of the MMA Junkie interviews that they did. He was on DC's team, Luis Pena. He was on DC's team at the Ultimate Fighter, and DC really liked him. He was able to get the finish bonus at the tough finale. So he basically said he was able to take that money and relocate out to California to train at AKA, right? San Jose. I believe AKA is in San Jose. So he was able to relocate. Yeah, he used his $50K bonus to relocate and really train over there. DC helped him out, put him up in his house for a little bit, I believe. Helped him with some housing and stuff. So this is a kid who's had a tough life. He was in foster care. Didn't know his mom or dad until I believe like the last 3 years. Just found out about who his dad was. I believe after the Tough Show. So it was, more or less within the last 4 or 5 months he met his dad. Rough life. Like this guy is fighting basically for his life. Like this is his career. This is his livelihood. It is for Tristano's too. But I know a little bit about Tristano. He's a Jersey guy. And he comes from a good family and obviously giving him every opportunity to succeed. But Luis Pena kind of defeated the odds to get to this point. So I think he's hungry. I think he's got something to prove, and I think he's got the skills to do it.
Where was Pena training before AK?
I want to say like St. Louis somewhere or something like that.
Because I know that Pena is from Gilroy, which is really like maybe 30 minutes from San Jose. So, I mean, it could just be that he connected with Cormier and then kind of had a homecoming, relocating back to where he was born out here.
They said now he was living there or before the show. I thought they said something about Illinois. That's what I heard somewhere.
Well,
I could be completely wrong. I could have the story wrong, but I thought that he was somewhere in Illinois training, like St. Louis or Illinois or something like that.
Well, according to
Illinois.
According to Topology, he was actually born in Italy. I don't know if that's accurate, but it said out of Gilroy, so maybe he lives in Gilroy now.
Okay, that could be possible now that he's there now. Yeah, I think I want to say it was something about Missouri, like St. Louis, Missouri, or maybe Illinois or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not really sure, to be honest with you, but I know it wasn't. He met DC, and I guess that's probably why he went out to Gilroy. Does DC maybe live in Gilroy? Are we giving out DC's address right now?
No, I think that he lives more Central Valley.
Okay.
Because I know that he coaches a high school. DC coaches a high school wrestling team.
Yeah, he does.
Somewhere in the Central Valley.
Yeah, but I mean, right now, if you haven't made a play on Luis Pena yet at -170, I think now's the time to do it. I can't see this line getting any lower. Honestly, at -190, I was surprised it went any lower. I'm a little surprised that it kept going. But let's get into this next fight. It's Macy Barber and Hannah Cifers. You had a pretty good take on it yesterday, Ty, so I'll throw this one to you. But I know you really like Macy Barber, so go ahead.
Yeah, she's a legit prospect with high upside. She's pretty much dangerous anywhere. She has really nice kicks, throws at a high volume. I said yesterday on the podcast that I wish Cifers would have actually been thrown in there versus somebody of lesser competition, because I do think Cifers is actually a good prospect, but I think that Macy Barber is an elite prospect. And if you look at all of her fights, I believe it was in LFA and then on the Contender Series.
Yeah,
she throws a lot of punches, a lot of kicks. She's very high volume, mixes in a high number of takedowns, and when she gets the fight to the ground, she smashes people. I think that she's going to keep the distance, feel her out, throw punches, throw her kicks, take this fight to the ground, and ground and pound victory.
And just to add a little bit, everything Ty said is 100% what I'm thinking and I'm in agreement with. Macy Barber did an interview today. I guess today was UFC Media Day over in Denver. She did an interview and basically said that Mackenzie Dern passed up 2 fights with her. She was trying to fight her early in her LFA career and then later in her LFA career, or possibly for another organization. But all her fights are in LFA. And Dern passed up the fight twice. So that kind of co-signs Macy Barber as legit. And Macy basically said if she wins this fight, which she fully expects to do, what she'd like to do is call out Mackenzie Dern and maybe fight her in March. Which,
well,
go ahead.
See, I don't think, like in the LFA career, Mackenzie Dern was pretty much using LFA as a stepping stone to get to the UFC. And so I really don't see any reason that she would have took the fight with Barber. She wasn't trying to be a champion out there. She wanted to use that to get notoriety to get to the UFC. Macy Barber is a dangerous fight, especially for somebody like Mackenzie Dern, because she has the wrestling that she'll keep it standing. And so a fight standing between Macy Barber and Mackenzie Dern, it's not going to go Mackenzie Dern's way. She's going to work those kicks and she's going to batter her. And like this fight right here, I think is a really easy fight. And it sucks to say because Cifers is really a good prospect. But I actually am looking at the Barber wins by TKO prop at plus 330. I actually am going to put some money on that, and I don't think that's a terrible play because I do see her chopping her down on the feet, getting the fight to the ground and working ground and pound.
Yeah, I agree with you. But I think what you're saying is exactly the point I was trying to make. Like Dern didn't want to fight her because it was a dangerous fight. You know what I mean? Which kind of legitimizes who Macy Barber is as an MMA fighter and UFC prospect.
Yeah, for sure.
You know. So our next fight is a fight that I know we kind of agree here too. Beneil Darius and Thiago Moises. Moises is a guy who nobody really knew who he was. I didn't know who the hell he was. Even when he was up here, I was surprised to see him on the main card here. I was surprised to see Macy Barber on the main card too. But you know, after you do the research, you see why both of these people are up here. The UFC obviously thinks that Moises is pretty good to put him on the main card because there are some other people on here that they obviously could have put up here. Specifically the Devontae Smith fight. I thought that Devontae Smith would kind of be on the main card based on the other fights here, but you know, that's just my opinion. But when it comes to Moises, he fought or got this fight by winning his fight at Dana White Tuesday Night Contender Series in Brazil, which isn't shown live, but you can definitely watch those fights. I watched it on YouTube. You can kind of just put in, you know, his name in YouTube and go right to the fight. And he looked really, really good. Knocked the guy down, was able to basically finish the fight with a head kick. He looked really, really good. And Darius is kind of trending downward, in my opinion. You know, he's had a couple weak performances his last few times down. So I think that Moises is in a prime position to really make a name for himself. He's very, very talented, very good. I would not be surprised if Darius wins this fight. I don't love the line. If it was more of a pick'em, I'd probably stay with Darius because of the experience. But right now, I kind of like Moises. You know, from a DraftKings perspective, I know I'm not supposed to give that information out, but from a DraftKings perspective and from a betting perspective, I kind of like Moises, and inside the distance is not a bad bet. But Ty, what do you think?
Yeah, so if you watch the Moises fight on the Dana White Contenders Brazil, you'll notice that he's a very aggressive fighter, has great kicks. He has a ton of power. The knockdown that he got to eventually stop the fight, it was blocked and still pretty much knocked the guy unconscious. Once he hit the ground, he kind of came back to, and Moises was on top of him, beating him even more. Darius, he struggles with his chin. He has 4 losses in his career. 3 of them were knockouts. 3 were knockouts and 1 was a submission. So when he loses, he gets stopped. So I think Moises is going to win this fight. I like the line at plus 130. I'm going to put some on that. But I'm actually probably going to put some at plus 460 for him to win by knockout also.
Not bad. I'm just our special guest just messaged me back. He couldn't get on, so he's not going to be joining us tonight. But it was supposed to be Mr. Jimmy Rivera from New Jersey and Mike Tristano's training partner, Tiger Shulman. So Jimmy was supposed to join us, but the link isn't working for him. So unfortunately, but yeah, I agree with what Ty said, and I think we're both kind of on Moises. Yeah, it's not a bad play inside the distance or by KO TKO, kind of like that. Ty, I'm going to throw the next one to you because you had a good read on Pennington and what you think she can do here. So the next fight is Cerrone Randamie coming off a 19-month layoff, I believe, and Rockwell Pennington, who's coming off a, let me do the math real quick, 6-month layoff, which she desperately needed because Amanda Nunes beat the pulp out of her. But Ty, what do you think about this fight?
Yeah, so for this fight, I actually think that Raquel Pennington has a clear-cut path to winning this fight. She needs to cut the cage off, press Randamie up against the cage, close the distance, because Randamie has a reach advantage, and she's the taller fighter. Pennington needs to make it ugly. She needs to get inside, get in the clinch, and not a Muay Thai clinch. She needs to get in, get some double unders and work pressing her up against the cage. I think that Pennington's going to be the stronger fighter. I think that she's going to try to work in some wrestling also and get this fight to the ground. And like we were talking yesterday, this fight is at altitude. It's a mile high up in the air. I think that Pennington, I believe that she's been training up there. Her and Tisha Torres have been training in Denver for the fight. And I think that she could use that to her advantage and kind of turn this into a wrestling contest and take away some of Randamie's power. I don't know if I'm gonna place a bet because I thought the line was gonna be a little bit more wide than it is now. I think right now Pennington is plus 140-ish. She's plus 155 now. I don't know if I love that line. I kind of want to see them at the weigh-in and the face-off and everything, but I do think that Pennington has a chance to win, but I don't know if it's confident enough to bet.
All right, I'm giving one last-ditch effort to get Jimmy Rivera in here, so we'll see if he joins us or not over the next few minutes. Again, I don't disagree with what Ty said. I am on the other side here. I think Jermaine is the better striker. Some of the stats that I read out yesterday, I don't have them in front. Oh, here they are. So some of the stats that I read out yesterday is Jermaine is a 10-time Muay Thai champ, unbeaten, and she's 37-0 in kickboxing. So again, if this plays out on the feet, very much the way that the Holly Holm fight played out, I think Jermaine is going to be the more powerful striker. But you know, Ty is 100% right. If Pennington is able to get some takedowns, there's a very good chance that she wins this fight and convincingly. I think she can easily win all 3 rounds if she's able to put her up against the cage, get some takedowns, get some shots in close, and maybe even get her to the ground. You know, we've only seen Randamie go to the ground, I believe, once. That was to Amanda Nunes, and I believe that was basically the end of the fight, right? I believe it ended in round 1 with elbows. So, you know, for the most part, that's definitely the path to victory. We'll see if Pennington can pull it off. The other thing with Pennington is she is a local, Denver, Colorado girl. She trains locally. She lives there, so the altitude will not be an issue. And again, if she pushes that pace in round 1, even if she loses round 1, you know, who knows if if her gas tank is going to be able to hold up. Pennington could outlast her in rounds 2 and 3. So I kind of agree with Ty. She definitely does have a path to victory, but I think it's lined right. I think Randamie is the better striker, so I don't have a problem with the line at all, to be honest with you.
Yeah, kind of where the line is at right now. I don't think that I like a play on either side. I expected it to be a little bit more wide, and if it was over plus 200, I was going to take Pennington, but I mean, at the line where it is right now, I think I'm just going to sit back and enjoy it.
Yeah, I think it's a tough line. You never know. It could change. A couple of these lines have changed. We're about to get to the main event. Well, it's basically a pick 'em right now almost. But
the fight goes to decision actually is plus 260, and I actually don't mind that at these odds. I wish it was a little bit lower, but I think this fight's going to go to decision because I don't think Randamie is going to knock her out. And if Pennington,
no, I don't think so either.
Yeah, and if Pennington wins, it's because she grinded her out for 3 rounds.
Yeah, no, I do agree with that too. That's not a bad line. Maybe even a parlay piece if you find another guy or two. Maybe even Devontae Smith to win and that line. Probably get that just about even money. All right, the next fight. I've been going back and forth with this. So Ty, I'm going to throw this one to you again. Mike Perry and Donald Cerrone. And again, if you ask me right now at the 10 o'clock hour on Thursday night, I'm going to say Mike Perry knocks out Donald Cerrone. But I can definitely see, Cerrone maybe trying to push the envelope, get in his face a little bit, push him up against the cage, use his size. I believe he's got a 3-inch size advantage in terms of height, and then a 2-inch reach advantage, Cerrone. Again, I don't know if Cerrone is done. He hasn't finished any fights. He also hasn't actually he did finish that one fight. Who was the fight that he finished? Medeiros. He beat Yancy Medeiros. I believe he finished him like 2 or 3 fights ago. But he's kind of been grounded out past few fights, and Darren Till knocked him out. So Cerrone's in a tough spot here. He's a fan favorite. He's a local guy. He's got this big issue with Mike Perry and the camp and what's been going on in camp and getting thrown out of camp. A lot of guys accused him. And I think Diego Sanchez, we were talking about Diego Sanchez before the card started. Diego Sanchez accused him of basically only showing up to camp to the gym when it was a fight for him. He wasn't helping other guys on the team, so he wasn't really a team player, which is why eventually he wound up leaving and he's doing his own camp, running his own camp. And then Mike Perry basically took his place at Winklejohn. So, there's a lot of drama going on. We'll see what happens. But Ty, who do you like in this fight?
Yeah, I'm actually back and forth on this fight too. My logic says that Mike Perry's going to win. I think that he's an in-your-face type fighter, and Cowboy has kind of struggled with that in his career, and Cowboy's also a slow starter. The Perry wins in round 1 prop at plus 225 actually isn't a terrible line. Only because Cowboy is such a slow starter. It's pretty well known that that's been the case with him. And Perry's going to come out, be aggressive, and do that. But I personally am not leaning towards that. But I'm just saying that if you back Perry, that's not a terrible line to back. I don't know. I don't really know. I'm kind of leaning towards the over 1.5 rounds, personally.
I am too. I actually have it written down. I do like that line.
Yeah, minus 125. I think there's a notion that Mike Perry is a knockout artist because he's knocked out lesser competition, but he's in there with Cowboy Cerrone, he's fought the top of the top, and he's kind of coming down a little bit to fight Mike Perry. Will Mike Perry win? Most likely, but is he going to put him away early? I don't really know if he is, and I think there's a notion that he's more of a knockout artist than he actually really is.
I do agree with that. I think he goes for the knockdown, goes for the knockout, goes for the highlight finish, but I think the issue is it's a lot more bark than it is bite when it comes to Mike Perry at this point, especially on this level. Like, I'm not saying he can't knock out Cerrone, but on this level, I think that these guys kind of know. He's typecast, right? Everybody kind of knows who he is as a fighter at this point. I think when you're coming up, people don't really know who you are. You're brash. You're bolden with some of the words that you use and the colorful language and all this other stuff. The tattoos all up and down your neck, on your face and stuff. So you're using that persona to basically get to the big leagues. But once you're in the big leagues, these people know who you are. They're doing tape study. There's plenty of tape out there on you. There's UFC fights against good competition that's out there on you. And again, I think Santiago Ponzinibbio kind of gave the game plan that Donald Cerrone can kind of follow. Try to clinch him up a little bit, kind of piss him off, hit him, just touch him, hit him, and stay away from the big right hand. You know what I mean? Don't get into the exchanges. And, not that anyone's really had a ton of success with Mike Perry on the ground, but try to take him down. Just piss him off. He can't knock you out if he's on the ground. So I think that all of those things can lead to a decision victory for Donald Cerrone if he just wants to basically point fight and win rounds, which he very capably can do. And again, this is Cerrone's home court here, right? He's from Colorado, so these guys I think are both going to be very motivated. Again, I just listened to a Mike Perry interview. If you want to hear colorful language and him calling him every name in the book and all this other stuff, listen to Mike Perry talk about this fight, and he'll tell you what he's going to do. The thing is, I just don't know if that's going to happen.
I think it might have been you that sent me the video of Mike Perry and the Indian headdress on Instagram.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I did send you that.
Yeah, that was terrible.
even things like when we were at UFC 229, Mike Perry was there. So he was over in Vegas, and he's just completely out of his mind. You know what I mean? Like, he's very entertaining, don't get me wrong. And I was listening to every word because I wanted to laugh. You know what I mean? Like, you listen to him and you're gonna laugh. He says crazy shit. But it's crazy shit. You know what I mean? Like, that's what it is.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of him in general. Anytime that he's in a fight, I'm going to tune it on.
Yeah, because he's entertaining, and you know that there could be a knockout.
Well, not even a knockout. You know that it's going to be a brawl. One thing that he does is he brings the fight. No, win or lose, you know that he's going to be in there slugging it out.
100%. So we're up to the main event, and to your surprise, because I actually told you that the line flipped right before we went live on air yesterday. The line was, I forget what it was, maybe -140, -130. I think it was -130 yesterday. But we have the Korean Zombie at -105 now, and Yair Rodriguez is actually -115. So the line did flip. There's a lot of value here for DraftKings purposes. So if you're a DraftKings player and you wanna get some information on this, check out our link. Check out any of my tweets on Twitter or any of Ty's tweets, and you can get the link and the code to sign up for the Quant Edge. But you're going to realize that Yair Rodriguez, based on his price, is going to be very popular, especially in cash games, because there's odds value here. So again, a lot of people will just play the odds value in these contests on DraftKings, especially in cash. So Ty, who do you like here? Korean Zombie, Yair Rodriguez. Couple stats that I was able to put together. Yair Rodriguez is coming off a 17-month layoff. Korean Zombie, I believe, is coming off a 19-month layoff. His previous layoff was more or less 3.5 years. So we really have only seen Korean Zombie one time in the last 5 years. What do you think, Ty?
Yeah, so this is actually one of the main fights that we broke down pretty extensive on the podcast, because me and you are not on the same page on this one at all. And even earlier today, you sent me a message and saying that you were having trouble making a line that you really, really like for a cash game. And I sent you 3 that I really like. And Korean Zombie was on all of them for me, and that was kind of an issue with who you like in this fight. And
not for nothing. Not only do I like him in this fight, but it seems like a lot of other people like him now that this is a pick 'em, Ty, just so you know.
Yeah, which that's better for me.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
I really like that. In man, I'm kind of thrown off right now. I just poured some of this beer. It's a Razzle Dazzle by Lead Dog Brew, and there was some shit in there. Anyway, I don't know. It tastes good, but there was some shit that came out of the can with it. I don't know what it is, but threw me off for a second. But no, so going back to this fight, I kind of think that Korean Zombie is going to take this fight to the ground. If you look at his fight versus Dustin Poirier, he took Dustin Poirier to the ground 4 times when they fought. He took him down 4 times, got a couple of advances, used his ground and pound, and then eventually got the submission. And I could see him kind of executing the same game plan here. He doesn't want to mess around too much with the Yair Rodriguez's kicks. And last fight, Yair Rodriguez showed that he doesn't have the greatest takedown defense. And when he gets to the ground, he has an offensive guard, but it's really not that good. If you're a wrestler that could kind of neutralize that, he really doesn't offer. And granted, in the last 17 months, he could have worked on that, closed some holes in his game. But the Korean Zombie has really technical jiu-jitsu. It's kind of underrated for what it is. Yeah, he pulled off the twister, and everybody knows him for that. I think there's the only one in UFC history. But his jiu-jitsu is sneaky good. And so if he gets this fight to the ground, I think that he could submit Yair Rodriguez.
Again, I don't disagree. I feel like I disagreed with you on the Quan Edge podcast. I'm just Jimmy Rivera just said he was sorry he couldn't get on here. I don't disagree. I don't disagree that it can happen. I just don't think it's likely. I think this fight is going to play out on the feet, and I think Yair is going to be able to keep distance. And I think that when Korean Zombie closes the distance, I think Yair is going to just either throw a straight kick, kind of a question mark kick, throw a jab, and get out of harm's way and just strike from a distance and pick his spots. I think that's the best way for him to try to win this fight. And if he's able to strike from a distance and keep that distance, keep said distance, he should be fine point fighting to a victory here. Again, I'm not alone in this. Obviously, the line has tightened up, and it's basically going off as a pick'em, so you got a lot of value in DraftKings. Be aware of the value. The Tristano Luis Pena line has really a big bet must have came on Tristano today. So if you're going to bet that line, bet Pena now. I don't think it's going to go down anymore. The Yair line, I mean, who knows? Who knows? It could also have something to do, Ty, with the elevation, right? Yair is training in Mexico City. So the elevation there and the altitude is very similar to Denver. I think it actually maybe even be worse. So that could be a reason that people are staying on Yair and maybe going away from Korean Zombie. But Ty gave you the case for Korean Zombie, so it's a possibility.
Well, one other thing is, Korean Zombie was planning on fighting Frankie Edgar. So, it's kind of what I went into yesterday is he was already training with a wrestling mindset going into this fight. Because, yeah, Frankie does have really good boxing, but there's always the threat of a takedown. Right. And so, I think that his training camp was probably wrestling heavy for this and preparing for Frankie Edgar. Now the opponent got switched into a completely different type of fighter. It's hard for me to not think about the notion that now the game plan is to keep it wrestling heavy, but now instead of defense, transition that to the offensive wrestling and kind of just fight I'm going to call it safe, but fight a fight that he's not going to be in much danger in, where he has a clear advantage. And I think that if he's training with a good camp, they're going to know that's the game plan for this fight. Stay out of Yair Rodriguez's only dangerous spot. Get this fight to a place where you have the edge in. Either grind out a decision or submit him.
Now, again, some of the things just to build, because you're obviously making the case for Korean Zombie. Mm-hmm. So just some of the things that I can use to build my case for Yair Rodriguez. First of all, definitely sign up for the Quan Edge. But one of the things that I wrote in my article, because I did break down the first two fights in my article, I'm going to sit down and write some more of it later and then finish up tomorrow after weigh-ins. But one of the things that I mentioned in the article today, a little sneak peek, is that Yair Rodriguez had a kind of roller coaster up and down last few months in the UFC. Basically, he was scheduled to fight Zabit Nurmagomedov in Russia. I think it was supposed to originally be in LA, right? And then it got moved to Russia. So it was supposed to be like the headline in Russia on September 15th or something like that. He pulled out of the fight. I believe he pulled out of the fight because he didn't want to take two losses in a row. That's more or less what I think Dana White actually believed that too, since he cut him after that fight. There were rumors going around that Yair had maybe like a drug problem or something like that. I don't know. I've never heard that substantiated. I'm just going by, a lot of people say Conor McGregor has a drug problem too. Don't know if that's true or not. But the truth is that let's just say that Yair has 17 months off. He was 24 years old when he lost that fight to Frankie Edgar. Obviously now in 2 years, if he really took his training serious, he's going to come out a much better fighter. Do we think that Korean Zombie is going to be a much better fighter in his 19 months or 17 months off, whatever the number may be? I don't necessarily think so. I think when you took 3 years off, you came out, and I think in that fight, he obviously won the fight. He knocked him out. But did he look great? I don't think he necessarily looked great. I think he actually got rocked a couple times earlier and then was able to win the fight with the knockout and then took 19 months off. Is he getting better, like you just mentioned, his camp? Is he getting better? He's fighting at the Korean Zombie MMA camp, I believe, in South Korea. Like, that's where he did most of his training camp. I don't know when he came over. I really can't tell. He obviously doesn't speak English, so it's tough to get the exact wording and everything. Like, his social media, it just isn't the same. But Yair, like I know that the guy was 24 years old. He's coming into this fight at 26. In terms of body type, he's got to have a bigger body. He's got to be more skilled. He's training locally, in Mexico, which obviously your hands are just going to get better training there. You got all these boxers around. Hopefully his BJJ is a little bit better. And even in the Frankie Edgar fight, when that fight went to the ground, Frankie Edgar is a legit wrestling phenom, okay, especially even in MMA. Some things don't always transfer over. His wrestling obviously transfers over. When it comes to Yair Rodriguez, he was able to try to, throw up some subs against Frankie, and he fought the first minute and a half, 2 minutes that he was on the ground. But Frankie, again, had him on the ground for 4 minutes. Frankie didn't want anything to do with him on the feet. I mean, Frankie basically sat on the right side of his body. Watch the fight. Frankie sits on the right side of his body and basically takes out Yair's left side. So he can't get him with the left kick. He can't get him with the left strike, his power hand, and then is able to get him down at about the 4 minute mark. The whole rest of the first round is on the ground. Yair did a good job for about a minute and a half, 2 minutes, fighting him off, threw up a sub or two. And then after that, it was just Frankie ground and pound, and he hurt him real bad. That eye looked terrible at the end of the first round. I don't even think he saw much of the second round, although he did come out at the beginning of the second round, had some success striking, and then Frankie took him down again. So I just think if it plays out on the feet, I think Yair is going to be fine. I think a lot of other people think the same way. Ty, I'll give you the last word if you want it.
Yeah, no. So I mean, I kind of agree with you on that, but at the same time, what you said was that Yair accepted the fight in LA. He actually didn't, and that's when the UFC cut him. It wasn't after he pulled out in Russia. I went to the fights in LA, and that was one of the fights that I was excited for. Yair said he wasn't going to fight him, and so Dana White cut Yair prior to that LA fight. One of the conditions on him coming back is that he would fight Zabit in Russia. He accepted the fight and then mysteriously pulled out. I mean, it's pretty clear to see why he pulled out. He was going to get wrestled again.
Right.
So, which that tells me up until 2 months ago, he's not confident in his wrestling. Korean Zombie is an underrated wrestler. He's going to get this fight to the ground. Yeah, I don't think that he's going to get knocked out before then. And so if you know he's going to get the fight to the ground, it's really hard to go against him.
All right, checkmate right there. You know what? I like this. We're going back and forth. We'll go head to head. And the good thing about it, it's a pick 'em fight right now, right? So, I mean, if you like Ty's argument, obviously you can get him at even money. If you like my argument, you can get him at even money now. You could have had better odds, but at this point, I guess it's basically a pick 'em.
Well,
Ty,
I think that this week you're probably going to be surprised at my Gamble Masters. I'm probably going to put a lot of my bankroll, if not all of it, in a few props that are plus 200 or 300.
Really?
Yeah, I think I'll be up there with you on the leaderboards after this event.
Well, I'll put it to you this way, just so that everybody knows where I'm at Gamble Master. I already have 6 bets on Gamble Master. I believe I was in like 3rd or 4th place going into this week. I dropped down. I was in 1st place by myself. I dropped down to 3rd. I put my entire bankroll, and I have a 4-man parlay and a 4-man and woman parlay, and a 3-man or woman parlay. So I'm basically going for first place. You know what I mean? I'm not in it to finish top 5. I'm in it to win it. And I'm taking a stand this week. So I was a little bit too conservative last week. This week I'm kind of going after it. So yeah, we want to shout out Gamble Master. We want to shout out obviously Eat Clean Bro. We want to shout out another partner, BetMMA.tips. They've been real good to us, giving us accounts. Anybody who is betting, you can track your bets there. I've had 2 bad weeks in a row betting, but with that being said, hopefully we can hit some things this week. Ty, anybody else?
Yeah, we actually partnered with Fantasy Factor. It's one of the newer fantasy sports sites. All their games are single entry tournaments, so definitely hit them up. We're gonna put the link in the description and we'll tweet it out. If you use our code, I believe that they're giving you a 50% deposit bonus, and they might. I think that the deal was that they're gonna refund some of the entries for this week's tournament.
Ty, are they doing another free roll for us? Because that free roll last week went pretty quick. Are they doing another one or no?
I'm not sure. I can hit them up and definitely see. But I know that they were running a promotion. It's a little bit late for tonight's game, but they have an office pool where all new subscribers through our link actually get a square, and you can win cash prizes for it. So, I mean, worst case scenario, you sign up for a free account, try to win something. If you like it, deposit, play against us, enjoy.
By all means. All right, and the Quan Edge. We almost forgot about the Quan Edge. Ty and I are both the DFS analysts, experts at the Quan Edge. We do a podcast. I do an article. Ty does an article. If you check it out, either of us on Twitter, you'll get the sign-up code, and you can sign up for that. So for Steve Ricciardi at SHP Pirate 12 and Tyler Beard at Ty Slice 23, signing off. Good luck this week.